Alrighty, Mr. Gatekeeper here. We have ourselves here a dual LDMOS amplifier. Just got done getting it all tuned out and everything. I know this poor fellow's been waiting a while for this, and I want to thank you so much, man, for hanging in there with me. I had a little bit of extra R&D I had to do, research I had to do on this thing, and you know, still learning. This is only my second one right here, so this is only my second one. You know, you learn a little bit more as you go along. We're rolling with two metal clads right there, and I did a little bit more fine tuning to it, so I'm going to take that trimmer off and mic that in. I got some compensation capacitors there being shunted to ground, and everything's good, man. I think from here on out I'm going to put a relay on the bias. Just bear in mind, if you ever turn the amplifier on like it is now and just leave it sitting, the transistors are biased, so you know you're going to be having a little bit of heat generation. But with these bad boy fans right here, you ain't going to have nothing to worry about, I promise you that. But anyway, we're driving this just with a 4-watt radio. This thing's hardly doing, well, I take that back, it's doing a little bit less than 4 watts. Let's see, this is a 5-watt slug, okay? So we're looking at the middle scale. So we're rolling with a 1/2 watt dead key. Putting about 2.5 watts into it, okay? Alright. We are rolling with a 6 dB attenuator. Okay, this is set up perfectly for your radio that you're going to be running. So can't do the exact mathematics in my head right here, but it's pushing that 1/2 watt dead key down to something super tiny. Probably like 0.005 watts, and it's pushing the 2.5 watts down to lower than a watt. So we're right there at a watt, or a little bit lower than a watt. So right now we're only driving this thing probably 30-40% of what it can be driven to, and it's performing well, very well. All right, we got 2,500 watt slug right here, and this is in peak, and this is average 1,000 watt slug going into a dummy load. Right there, about 1,500 watts. Gotta turn that backwards. A little bit over 600 bird. This is your input reflect. Virtually nothing. The input tune on this thing, I mean, it couldn't be any better. And yes, I did test the input tune before the attenuator. It was just as low. So I'm putting about 2.5 watts into the box. Alright, this thing is pulling right at right there, about 19, almost 20 amperes of current on a 51.4 volts. And we get 1,500 watts peak, 600 bird. She's working great. This is your idle current of the MOSFETs. We're at 1.5 amps. A lot of guys actually ramp that up to about 3 amps. Some of them even ramp it up to about 4 amps, but it's just better to be safe than sorry. This is where RF Man, my homeboy, Mr. RF Man, Carmine, tells me where to run it at, and works well. We got the thermal switch here. Alright, basically if this side of the heat sink on this fin right here becomes 115 degrees, it will turn the power off the main relay. Okay, so if this thing gets that hot, you need to get off of it. And that's what this switch is back here, okay? That's enabling the thermal protection circuit. Off disables it. I would prefer just leaving it on. if you get a little winded and somehow this heat sink gets 115 degrees right here on the side with all those fans hitting it, yeah, you need to turn it off. And back here we got an RCA cable if you wish to use a foot pedal, which would be a really good idea if you're going to be running on sideband or something like that. It'd be pretty good. Or you can as well hook this into the output of your amplifier. Alright, that is negative ground. All we're doing is, if you look at the RCA cable connector here, one side of it is soldered to case ground, alright, and the other side is soldered to the negative part of the coil of the relay. So once the outside of this touches the inside, it gives the relay a ground. So keep in mind, this is not positive voltage, so make sure if you are running this with a ham rig or something that you're not going to be running a positive volt key system, that it is going to be a negative key there. Most of them are. And let's see here, that's about it there, man. That relay board right there, that is for the thermal protection switch. And of course there's your supply for the LEDs and the bias. And this thing's working great, man. Yeah, I'm doing a video. I'll be done just a second. Just to give you an idea what this thing's dead keying right now, about 200 watts. Oh, a little bit over 600 bird. Oh, this thing's talking, man. Oh, GK just cruising this LDMOS technology. Cruising on this end, letting the mop flop. Got down. Alright, man. At this point it's set up for your radio, and I did not have a radio here. So that's the problem with this LDMOS stuff. I am going to purchase a radio specifically to run out here for this stuff. I've got one in mind to where after I add the attenuator, I can then drive the amplifier to its fullest capacity. Because the problem is now, for example, this cover 29 right here, way too much drive for it. This radio right here, way too much drive for it. And then I got another one that's not quite enough drive, but anyway, it gives you a gist of everything, man. I will go ahead and tell you, before adding the attenuator, I never was able to see 3,000 watts PEP out of it. You're probably going to be looking at around 24 to 2,500 at the most. Just to let you know. Had high expectations for these, but to get a full 3 kW out of this, what we're probably going to have to do is take 2 single boards and combine them together, which I will be doing actually next. But anyway, I'll be back and I'll get the top on this thing and let you hear it all together there. And of course, this next one, of course, is your SSB delay switch, which just engages this capacitor right here. And of course, there's your keying circuit, which is completely isolated with an optocoupler. And this, I don't know if I told you or not, this right here is for you to plug in an amperage meter, like this right here. I had a perfect meter for it, and guess what? I dropped it. Yeah, it happens. But I've got some more 50 amps coming in. That it's a pretty good idea, you know. I know everybody don't have clamp meters like this they can hook up, but you just want to make sure you're not running this thing no more than 50 amps. I'd keep it down 40 amps or lower, and if you really want this thing and have no issues at all, keep it around 20, 25 amps like I'm doing now, and you'll never have an issue. Alright, I'll be back. Alrighty, brother, here's her all put together. Boy, this thing looks like a beast, don't it?
Went to the right. Back to the
absolutely beautiful. I'm telling you, let me turn this off right here.
Anything like that. And this time I was taking my time.
Alright, the deal with this whole thing is right here is he had wanted a dual LDMOS just like this, a base unit all put into one unit, and something fell through with another deal, which was actually this amplifier right here. Yeah, I was actually building this right here for a personal buddy of mine, and that deal fell through. So I basically contacted him, was like, hey man, instead of having to start all over, you know, building yours from the ground up, I've already got one built here, and just had to put the new relay in and figure out a couple of stuff. Took a little bit of R&D, research and development, to get it working as good as it is working. And told him, you know, the only difference is it won't be an all-in-one unit, which is completely fine. You know, I mean, it ain't no big deal. As you see, here's your power supply right here. Okay. Anderson connects. All right, and you can put these together as well if you want to, like this. So I can do it with one hand. Like so. But they're actually a lot easier to plug in separated like this right here. I absolutely love these things, man. They're 175 amp Andersons. They're way oversized for this. We're only dealing with a maximum of 45-50 amperes on 50 volts. So I mean, even this 8-gauge power wire is overkill. So if you ever decide you want to run this in a mobile, you'll be able to. You just get you some more Anderson connectors like that from me. Get you a 50 volt source set up in your mobile. You'll be ready to run it in the mobile. And I get you one of these, like a line section from a bird meter. Plug that bad boy in the back of here, man, and get running your bird meter up front with you. You'll be ready to rock and roll. Alright, the way I've got the power supply set up right now is here is your switch, okay? Now this don't technically turn the power supply on and off. It's going to turn the voltage on the power supply on and off. Now let me explain to you. These supplies right here are as heavy duty as they come, okay? These supplies are designed to be ran 24 hours a day. So it won't hurt nothing at all just letting it run. Like right now the power supply is off, okay? It's off. You can hear the fans running inside here. That's fine. These supplies are designed to run 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. These are hardcore servo supplies, hard and tested and used for many years. So you could either just let it go like that and then come over here and flip your switch when you're ready to run it. If you wanted to, this right here is just plugged in. As you can see, there's 3 pins right here on this power supply, and this right here actually just came off a fan, this plug, and just plugged straight into those pins. I can give you the documentation if you want, but if you wanted to, you could extend this this wire right here. You could cut it, add wire to it, and run it as long as you want. You know, you can have it up there on the bench with you, or whatever you'd like to do, you know. You put a little plug on it where you can have different switches you plug in for different lengths. That's all up to you. You can tie strap it or whatever you want to do, but that's the switch right there. I'm just using this voltmeter on my bench here, but you can buy yourself a 50 volt voltmeter off eBay. I'm working on getting a lot of them in stock so I can have them on hand at all times. And so you can have your voltmeter if you want to check out the voltage, you know, which really ain't no real reason to, but this thing doesn't sag. This supply is so stable, the voltage stays exactly where it's at. So anyway, let's see here. Oh yeah, I mean, back what I was saying with the running it in a mobile, you can use step down, DC to DC step down converters, and I am planning on hooking myself up. I'm sitting here trying to think if I have some laying around here. I think I do. Walk over here with me. Excuse me. Alright, I think I got one right here actually. Well, it's still put in the bag. Here we go. There we go. Like these bad boys right here. You pretty much are good for about 10 amps, 8 to 10 amps per one. So basically, get yourself 3 of these. I'd say 4 just to be safe. And we can parallel them together with a little bit of capacitors and resistors, possibly diodes. Pretty easy to do. I can walk anybody through it really. And of course you can buy them to handle a lot more amperage if you want to, so you don't have to use as many of them. But then you can run that bad boy in the mobile, man. 50 volts in the mobile. I plan on using pretty much 4 of them per 2 devices, 2 per singles, and I don't know, I may even throw 6 in there. I'll probably just do 4 at first and just kind of monitor them, because 4 should be overkill. That'll give me the capability of you know what, I take that back. I would probably do 6 per 4. You got about 8 to 10 amps per device. Okay, so you're looking at about 20 to 25 amps per device maximum. So you're pretty much looking at probably 3 for a single, 6 for a dual. So I'm sitting there talking without thinking. Anyway, another cool thing, man, is this right here. You can't, I don't know why these cameras don't give these paint jobs justice. You gotta see them with your own eyes. You know, of course, you know, you could easily, I could easily go find somebody to do powder coat and everything, which is way more durable than this. But it's just something about the customization of this. This right here is built right in a professional paint booth. My buddy owns an auto collision center up here. This is House of Color Candy paint, my friend. And the cool thing about this particular paint job, this is the very first pearl. I got 2 pearls done at the same time, 2 purple pearls. And so this is the first ones we've done this way. He's been telling me to do a pearl, and I know you can't see it in the camera. You might be able to see it a little bit, but I mean, it is, when the sun hits this thing, it is magnificent, man. Absolutely magnificent. Whew. So anyway, I went ahead and did hook up the my next Cobra 29, which we're getting a little bit more output out of it. But basically, let's see here. So basically, instead of driving it now with 18 watts PEP, we're going to be hitting it with about 25. So it's driving a little bit more. The bird definitely is a little bit more, but you know, it's giving a little bit more output just to give you an idea. So still looking at the top scale, PEP. So getting right there about 1,800, 1,900, almost 2 grand. Right hit right there at 2 grand. Good. And the RMS doesn't really change with this radio. So it's still right there a little bit under 6, or right there up. Because that particular radio right here does the same amount of RMS, but it does a little bit more peak. And I would drive it with this other radio up here, but I know it's too much, so it's not even. This one thing I am not going to do is risk blowing these devices, because these devices are absolutely awesome, but they are super sensitive to input drive. Okay, I've got this thing set up to run with your radio, but please keep in mind, be very careful, watch your meters, make sure that you are not swinging backwards on an RMS meter. Okay, if you're swinging backwards on an RMS or average reading watt meter, you are over driving it. It's just that simple. Okay, you are over driving it. That is that's the thing I pretty much use with everybody. I need to make some more videos on that. But, you know, I have people hit me up all the time and ask me, you know, how do I know if I'm over driving? How do I know if I'm over driving? That right there is one of the best ways to know. If you're sitting there, not with a dead key, okay, but an actual swing, of course, and you sitting there audioing, and that thing is swinging backwards on the average reading watt meter, yeah, you are saturating those transistors, okay? And another thing is, it's better to be swinging nothing at all than to be swinging backwards, okay? It's better to be swinging not at all than swinging backwards. So I got my mind busy over here trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to get this thing packaged up to you. I don't think I got any boxes, so I'm going to have to go look around. And I usually use the boxes that these cases actually come in, but this thing's been here for a while, bud, so I will have to look around, shop around, and figure out something, man. Probably have to go purchase a box for you, but this bad boy is done now, and we'll get both of these out to you. And thank you so much for hanging in there with me. It's a blessing. Some of these guys aren't as nice as you are hanging in there with me, but hey, you are, bud, and I appreciate it. And of course, because of all this not being in the same box, and especially two more things before I get off here. We talked about this being a 3,000 watt box at first. That was my bad. I counted my chickens before they hatched, as they say. Basically, you're looking at a maximum of 2,400 watts pretty much with this setup. Nominally 12 to 1,800 probably. I'm just giving a nominal figure. You run this thing at 1,000 watts, it'll last you from here till you hit the grave. I promise you that. But I know we all want to see as much power as we can. But and then last but not least, because this took so long to get this done for you, bud, I'm gonna hook you up. Thanks for hanging in there with me, brother. All right, old GK said that. We on to the next one. We got a same deal, dual LDMOS, but we're going to do it in singles. We're going to see if we can't get a little bit more out of it. And of course, that is a lot, quite a bit more expensive. You got more materials, more heat sink, etc. But hey, man, it's all about playing around, testing new things, and seeing what works the best. Old GK out here around the northeast end of Georgia. I might get my words slurred up at times, but this mind's as sharp as an arrow, and I'm gone. Bye-bye.